Hey there! You're listening to Those Real Estate Brothers podcast, where Joseph and Jared share what they know in real estate and all things local, including local restaurants, businesses, and cool stuff. Which brother is more interesting? Well, you're about to find out.
What's going on, Albert? You never heard that intro before? That means you never listened to our podcast.
I heard the Dave one.
So you heard it. Yeah. All right. Which brother's more interesting? You know us long enough.
I love you both, man. Like you were on my own kids.
We got Albert Celeste, a great Weichert agent and public adjuster. How you doing today?
I'm great, man. Glad to be here. Thank you for asking.
So let's get right to it. So you've been an agent for how long now?
You know what? It was July of 2016.
You're what we call a veteran.
I guess so.
Compared to a lot of the agents that are in this market right now, you are a veteran, and you're also a public adjuster. So tell me a little bit about that.
What is a public? I don't even know what that is. I mean, I do, but maybe people don't.
Public adjuster. I've been a public adjuster going on 29 years. So what I do basically, listen, I love to help people, and I got in that industry. I help people with their insurance claims. You know, I grew up in the corporate America. I worked for Chase and Solomon Brothers and Prudential, and it just corporate America wasn't for me because I saw that they were always taking advantage of people. So I got out of that, and the opportunity presented itself to become a public adjuster. I had no clue what it was at the time. I'm a good test taker. So I took the test, passed the test, called my contact who was with the oldest public adjusting firm in the city. And at that time, the FBI, when I called him up for a job, he says, I can't help you, man. The FBI is in here. They're taking all the files.
Oh, boy. You know, that is an industry that does get a bad stigma, similar to real estate agents, I guess, but maybe even more so.
It is regulated. It is somewhat unregulated. And then when Hurricane Andrew hit in Florida in the early 90s, that really exposed public adjusters because the scoundrel took advantage of a lot of people.
I think in any sales, the person that gets a lot of repeat business, clearly they're in it for the right reasons and providing good service. And I know just from observing you over the years, you get a lot of repeat business.
I do. I'm fortunate that way. God is good. He takes care of me that way. But, you know, it's time to move forward and time to get some new business.
So with public adjusting, basically somebody has a loss at their house, a problem at their house, and then they call the insurance company, and the insurance company just gives them a check, right?
Well, yeah, you know, that's a good point. The insurance company these days, especially after the pandemic, they want to fast track everybody. And what I mean by that is you call them up, they ask you to describe the claim, what happened, you tell them, and yeah, the next thing you know, they're sending you a $5,000, $7,000 check, which, you know, to the normal person, they think, okay, great, you know. But you know, as they're fixing, they realize it's going to cost them more.
And just to go back, once they cash that check, it's over. Claim's done, right?
No, actually, it's not, because there's always a holdback or a depreciation. They withhold. Some companies will send you the whole check. State Farm used to send the whole check. People should hire a public adjuster. They should get their representation. The analogy that I use is if you go to court, you hire an attorney because you know the other side's going to have an attorney, and you don't want to go there, you know, unrepresented. Same thing with an insurance claim. The insurance company is going to send down an insurance adjuster. That adjuster doesn't work for you, works for the company.
Right. They want to keep that check as small as possible, don't they?
You may get 75%, 80%. You're not going to get in the 90s.
That's interesting, yeah. If you're on a criminal case, do you want a prosecutor helping you out? No.
I'm sure they're looking out for me, too.
Yeah, right. So, you know, it's tough being a company adjuster. You got to wear two hats. You got to work for the company, and you got to try to please the homeowner, knowing that they don't know everything. So you hire a public adjuster. I make sure you get everything that you're entitled to, and, you know, I work on a contingency.
So you might make 5 to 10% of whatever the claim is, but you might have got them 10 to 15 to 20% more.
Exactly. And I always make up my fee.
And then some.
And then some for them. And then
they don't have to do it, which is what we talk about with for sale by owners, right? Like, okay, you could have got You got 500. I probably could have got you 515 or 520, which basically covers the real estate commission, and I would have did all the work.
Right.
You don't have to do the open houses yourself and call the attorney yourself and the marketing, and you're probably not even going to be that good at it. Do you want to practice on yourself? No. It's the same with the insurance, right? So you're going to do all the work for them while they're at work doing their job, you're meeting contractors, negotiating, and so on.
Give them the opportunity to continue their normal life as much as possible during the time of, a tragedy or whatever.
It's a complementing industry between real estate and public adjusting. I mean, you're dealing with homeowners. They have a problem or a need, and you're there to kind of help them with that problem or need.
You have the level of expertise to help them with that problem or need. You're paying for the experience in a lot of cases.
We're here to serve and to help people. And my bottom line is, if I know and I am helping somebody, I'm satisfied. And whatever comes at the end of that, to me, is a bonus. Yeah, I mean, you get a check, you earn a living, but it's gratifying to help people.
So as a realtor, 6 years now, you've made a focus working with people kind of similar to your public adjusting stuff, people in a really tough spot in foreclosure.
Foreclosures, when I first got in the industry, we've had many conversations, and, I wanted to do seminars, and I wanted to get into that foreclosure niche, if you will, because you guys know in real estate, there's so many different avenues you can pursue. And, I spent a couple of years chasing my tail, trying to do everything. And I've gotten to the point now where, you know what, I'm going to focus on the foreclosures, look to help people. They're out there.
I was listening to a podcast just yesterday, and they talked about just in general being successful, right? And they said, what should you be working on in order to go get more sales or sell more products? And somebody said, basically, there's a million good ways, but you need to focus on one. They're all good ideas, but if you spend all your time on all those ideas, you're not going to get any accomplished.
The problem with that, though, I think, is it takes you a couple of years to figure out which one to focus on. So that's why for new agents, you better focus on everything, because you don't know what you're going to be good at until you start having success. So, it's too easy to sit there and say, you know what I'm going to focus on? I'm going to focus on digital marketing. Well, yeah, that's important, but is that just an excuse not to do the other 99 things that you might have to do? And sitting here in this podcast studio, I saw a meme this morning. Agents will literally spend 6 months building a podcast studio so they don't have to do cold calling. And I kind of laughed at it. But, that's why in the beginning you got to focus on everything. But as you got further in your career, you kind of found where you wanted that niche to go. And you still do all types of real estate, but finding somebody in a really tough spot seems to be your niche, whether you knew it or not when you started.
I believe in the affirmations, and what you tell yourself and what you put out there is going to come back to you. So I always seem to get the difficult cases when it comes to like insurance claims.
Because you look for them. Let's be honest. The atmosphere around you is what you look for. Which isn't a bad thing. I think it's kind of remarkable that you want to be in those situations because you're helping people in some tough situations.
No, it's true. So the energy you put out there is what you get back. So now
that kind of sounds like your problem. So that's what you find.
So there's an old school mentality of some people. And years ago, I was at a pasta dinner for a lacrosse team. I was an assistant coach for Plain Edge Lacrosse. There was this old school parent who was putting ketchup on a hot dog. And there was a brand new bottle, opened, brand new. And then there was one right next to it that barely had anything in there. And what did this old school guy do? He grabbed the one that barely had anything in there, and he worked his magic to get every last drop.
Add a little water into it.
So he wanted the path of hard because he wanted every little drop of that ketchup. And I think you have that mentality too.
I do tend to make life a little harder than it should be, and it comes to me that way. But again, in the end, like I said earlier, I'm satisfied. If I know I help somebody, I'm blessed.
Which ketchup would you grab?
Me?
Yeah.
I'm a lazy guy, so I would have grabbed a new one.
So we talk about stats, and we did a prior podcast how foreclosures are down, okay, historically compared to some other years in the past. However, there is some significant numbers, and if you're one of those homeowners that are facing a foreclosure, you don't really care what the stats are per se. No. But let's talk a little bit about the numbers. I looked yesterday, I saw that over the last 6 months in Nassau County, there was exactly 1,100 Liz pendants filed.
In Nassau County.
In Nassau County.
So Liz pendants, Latin for like hands off or something. There's a cloud on the title. that you are now 4 months behind on your mortgage, I think, and the bank puts a cloud there that says, "Hey, there's something going on here. Don't make sure you call us before you do anything."
Yeah. So what happens? So you don't pay your mortgage for 90 days. After those 90 days, the lender's going to basically file a judgment, right? Try to file that judgment, which is that lis pendens. So tell me a little bit about the stats that you have on foreclosures.
One of the interesting stats is across the board, foreclosures are up 64%, okay, in November.
Compared to last year?
Right.
Right.
Exactly.
Which kind of isn't a surprise because coming off the pandemic,
There were none.
and then
Very few.
a lot of these lenders had a lot of pressure to kind of work with these homeowners. So they were kind of, I think, reserved in filing those foreclosures, but they're only patient for so long, right?
They are. And, you also have to take in consideration, I guess, the market now. Though home prices have somewhat steadied, but they have...
In some markets, they've declined.
They have declined.
We haven't really seen it in our market, but
right.
But you're not seeing that appreciation for sure.
And what does that do? That leaves all the homeowners who have the FHAs and the VA loans. Because when I had a VA loan, I didn't put any money down.
Right. Well, the conventional is closing 3% down. So, if you had prices in some parts of the country go down 5%, not a huge number. It's not a scary number, but if you only had 3% down, you're underwater.
So, and that's my point. That the statistics show that 6 out of 10 of those borrowers are now underwater.
So the people in 2022 who bought their house with those 3% down or less programs, they're now underwater.
Which is scary.
I mean, just because you're underwater doesn't mean you stop paying your mortgage.
No, but, what is it? There are other things that go along with
those
that.
people, by the way, are crazy if they do because they have 3% interest rates. So you don't mind being negative for a little while with that low payment.
And those mortgage payments are cheaper than rents.
The
nowadays.
rent, you're not kidding.
It's the truth.
We are heading in. We were talking about this before. We're heading into a little bit of a recession, right? Probably going to be more of a Fortune 500 recession than a Main Street recession. But
We're in one.
I don't know. They keep changing the definition, don't they, of what it is?
People try to change the definition.
But, prices went up. If your heating bill doubled and your boss comes in and says, we have to make some cutbacks and we're going to, cutting your hours by 20%, and your food bill went up by 40%, and your car insurance now is going through the roof, it starts getting rough. It starts getting really tight. So what ends up happening? They start missing payments, right?
Well, that you took the words out of my mouth. I was going to talk about that, the wages and prices going up. Yeah.
And that's the elephant in the room, right? Inflation. It's still a conversation. So if you qualified for a loan and who buys a house that is significantly less than they qualify for?
Very rich people. That's about it.
Not a lot of people. You basically, you're stretching the rubber band a little bit to even get in that house. And then over the course of the last couple of years, everything went up. I mean, bologna, right? What's the cost of bologna? Give a shout out to Scott Sotero.
I don't buy much bologna, but
yeah, I don't know.
I know eggs are about $5 a dozen, depending on where you go.
Milk, it's a $10 for a gallon of organic milk.
And you guys with the young kids, man, you're always buying milk.
I go to the supermarket now. I never ever noticed what I was paying for. Like, I wanted something, I bought it. I get to that checkout line now, and I get so mad. Like, how dare you charge me $24 for some hamburgers and buns?
I refuse to buy the small box of Cheerios for $7. I'll pass.
I hate to say it, I go to Lidl. I get the store brand, the cinnamon toast. It's like $1.29 a box.
Do the same thing.
Which I never would have. I never would have even thought twice. I'll get the good brand. It's better. But everything, you go to the grocery store and you just get, food for a few days, not even the week. It's $150. So that pressure is coming from everywhere, and a lot of times the mortgage is the last place the owners want to go to stop paying their mortgage. But in a lot of ways, that's where the most protection is. You can't not buy groceries. You don't pay your car; they come take it away. True. With a mortgage, how long is a foreclosure process?
Well, every state is different, but before they file the list payment,
nobody listens to us outside of New York, pretty much. So
it's after 90 days, as Jared mentioned earlier.
They start the process, but how long from that process to actually losing your house in New York? Maybe not scientifically, but generally.
There's people who have been, they're
still in the house from 2008.
Years. Or from 14 years.
It's not fast, is my point. You got a year, maybe 2 years before that happens. So you sit looking at hungry kids. You need your car to go to work.
Let's look at it this way too. I mean, the house it depends on the house. It depends on the mortgage as well. But I mean, if the asset manager at the bank sees a good deal, that the prices of houses are up, they're underwater.
They'll push that a little further.
They'll push
faster.
Yeah. Let's get money in because they're a business as well. So
lenders are not in the business of holding real estate. At least that division of lending. You are seeing a lot of companies buying single family houses. But a foreclosure, the lis pendens filed, right? Foreclosure started. At that point, the lender wants to work with the homeowners, correct?
They try.
So what's some of the options that somebody has between maybe they are able to stay in the house, maybe some options with that, or options where they're not going to be staying in the house?
Well, if they're going to stay in the house, they can always try to remodify their mortgage.
Right. Loan modification, yep.
The loan modification.
Spread out the payments over more time, maybe a lower rate. The banks will, if they could work out something that makes sense long term.
Yeah, so if it makes sense, I guess with a job, maybe you got laid off and now you're back, you could potentially get that forbearance, right, where it's a short-term agreement of lower payments. And then a lot of times, if somebody during that forbearance does everything they're supposed to do, they might do a loan modification.
I feel like the banks, years ago, those loan modification applications were almost impossible. The clients could never figure it out on their own, right? I mean, they always needed a ton of help with it. So the banks, realizing that was a big hurdle for getting people modified, a lot of them are doing the trial modifications, aren't they? Where, this is your payment, make it for 3 months and we'll make it permanent. So it's almost like, hey,
try before you buy.
Try before you buy. But let's not go through all the paperwork. Just if you can make these payments for the next 3 months, we'll make that your payment.
Another alternative is, depending on, again, the situation, the people seeing it's dire, they just may turn over the deed.
Deed in lieu.
In lieu.
I think that works better for people that are underwater, right? They're significantly underwater.
Yeah.
Because in most cases, they will get a release of that lien, right? They would no longer be obligated to pay the difference.
No further obligation, And of course, you have the short sale.
Right.
Which I think is, if you think about somebody that lives in New York, they've been kind of on the fence of getting out of New York for years, and they get, unfortunately, maybe a job loss or some significant thing going on in their life where maybe they go into foreclosure. That might be the catalyst to say, let me just sell the house, get out of Dodge, start applying at some other states, applying for jobs. And that might be a really good tool for somebody like that.
A lot of times with the short sale, the owner could get some money to help move too, don't they? The banks will give them, $5,000, $6,000 allowed to go to them to pay for the mover and security deposit on the next, house or apartment.
And sometimes there's strings attached. They'll do an inspection and they want to make sure that the house is still in good shape during that. And sometimes they do that with a deed in lieu as well.
They do, and every bank, every organization,
they're all different. There's no standard rule.
And then you got the traditional sale. People realize, all right, so I'm behind $150,000. The house is worth $500,000. Let's just sell the damn thing.
Every month that goes by, they're adding basically a neg-am loan at that point, where it's adding $2,000-$3,000 to the debt they have. But even worse, at some point, the bank accelerates and they hire a lawyer, and the lawyer fees will really add up into the debt. So that $150,000 you might have to pay, or $200,000, it starts really building up quick because of all these court fees and lawyer fees. So it makes sense to kind of do that a little quicker.
Absolutely.
It's really important for someone in that situation to just get our options, right? Get a real estate agent in there to figure out their pair, right? What their home equity is. And maybe they decide, hey, I'm willing to eat up some of the equity because I want to stay to have my kid finish school, right? But it should be by design. We should say, okay, if I sell now, I'm going to get these kind of proceeds. If I wait, there's going to be basically a neg-am loan. I'm going to get less down the road. And they should have all their options in front of them rather than just be paralyzed, searching on the internet, maybe getting bad info.
Albert has talked about this in the past, where if a homeowner is in a tough spot, Their things are not going well. They're behind on their loan. They're not sure what to do. The phone's ringing from the bank. They're getting certified mail. a lot of times they just bury their head under the pillow and hope it goes away.
It's human instinct.
And those are the people who absolutely get creamed. They lost all their equity. They're getting, forced to move out with no resources to do it. They're not sure where to go. They end up in a, pay by the day motel or some terrible apartment. And that's what we try to avoid, right, Al, is getting to the people before all that happens and say, wait, you have some options. Number one, if there are no options for you and it makes sense to stay here, here's some ways we could delay that and slow the foreclosure down, save up some money, start making plans forward. If there are options, you have equity in the house, let's get that equity. It's way better to be homeless with $100,000 than homeless with no money.
And I've been doing this, I don't know, I always say 18 years, but every year passes. So I'm pretty sure I've been doing this 18 plus years. And there were two situations where they were very sad. They kind of buried their head in the sand. And unfortunately, a family basically had to split up. Kids and a wife stayed at a family member's house, and the husband stayed somewhere else. Yep. Just because the house that the family member that was taking them in just didn't have a big enough house, and that will always be in my head, and it's such a sad story.
They feel like they failed, or they're not, living up to their potential. And you're right, they bury their head in the sand. Woe is me. But it's time.
I think it's anxiety too, right? Like that's going to give me a lot of anxiety, so I'm just going to try to avoid it. In reality, you're carrying that with you. You're bringing it to work, and you're going to struggle at work. You're bringing it home. Your kids will struggle at school. You're gonna bring it to the doctor. Your health isn't doing well. You carry that everywhere with you, and that's why we tell people doing anything is going to be better. Our high school football coach used to say, it's not the person who goes 90 miles an hour through a red light that gets in the accidents. The guy who almost stops but then decides to go for it, that's going to get creamed. It's that hesitation. If you're going to make the wrong decision when you're facing these struggles, facing foreclosure, making those decisions will still lead you to a better place than if you did absolutely nothing. I'm going to sell the house. I'm going to do a loan mod. I'm going to do a short sale. Great. Let's do some of that stuff. It doesn't matter if it's the perfect, because perfect could be the enemy of great. At least you still have some options. You didn't wait until all those options were off the table, and now the court's going to decide for you.
So, Albert, let's say somebody is watching this podcast and it motivates them to give you a call.
Sure.
And they say, all right, I just got notice of a lis pendens foreclosure. I got this notice that I have to appear. What they invite you in, what kind of happens next?
Well, you go in and we're going to sit down and go through their scenario. Let's find out, how far behind they are, how much they owe. Excuse me, if a loan mod is possible. Maybe, they're in a position, maybe they're in a good position. They just sell the house. Let's get it on the market. So it all depends. Every situation is different. All the paperwork is different.
But you're looking at their how much they owe on the house, what the house is worth. You're looking at what their finances are. Could they afford, if they could catch up on the mortgage payments somehow, could they make those payments? You're looking at, where they would go if they did leave. You're looking at all of that, right?
Right, because after that, they have to go somewhere else. So where are they?
And then you're going to present it like a menu of choices. Here's your 4 choices. There's 10 choices available. 4 of them work for you. You qualify for. Which of those 4 is the least hard to swallow? Because none of it's fun. But is moving better? Is putting an apartment in the basement with the loan mod, and now you could, afford those $10 gallons of milk again? Which option do you want to go with? And then you could help see them through that, whether that leads to a sale or not.
One of the things a lot of homeowners maybe in that situation don't really understand is that number that's on their mortgage statement as far as principal balance might not be the same number as their payoff.
Right, it won't be.
It won't be. So a homeowner has the right to call their servicer and say, I want a payoff. And basically what that means is once they get that letter, that's the exact amount of money they would owe if they sold the house. So everyone should be doing that. I'm sure that's kind of part of what you do as well. You instruct them to call their servicer and get that payoff letter.
It's all about taking your head out from the sand and looking for the best options.
And I think the banks now, they want to find a solution. It's not like too bad.
Yeah.
2008 through 2014, they didn't even know who owned the loan. So the servicer just said, too bad, we're going to foreclose. Can I have a loan mod? No, we don't care. Too bad. Now, when you make those calls, you say, listen, I'm in trouble. I'm 2 months behind on my mortgage, 3 months behind on my mortgage. I'm having trouble catching up. had all these things happen. A lot of times the banks are willing to try to find some solutions. So again, don't put your head in the sand. Accept the call. Try to find some help, whether it's from the bank direct, and with you helping with some advice, us helping with some advice. But again, just don't do nothing.
Another thing that a lot of homeowners might not realize, maybe not if they bought in 2022, but maybe if they bought, many years ago, is make sure you don't have a second mortgage, because a lot of times they stop paying that, it goes away, and they think, oh, it went away, we don't have to pay it, but there's still that lien on the mortgage.
Yeah, if it's more than 7 years, maybe you could really get rid of it, but you really can't. So now you're paying it off. We also see, Albert, right, Medicaid loans. Maybe somebody was in a nursing home or needed some other sort of assistance. We see, giant medical bills sometimes are levied against the house.
What shows all that? How do you find that?
Al, how do you find any of that out?
You got to go to the county clerk and see if there's any liens on the house. Mm-hmm. You got to go through their records, mechanics liens, contractors, anybody who could put a lien on a house will. I know a couple of people adjusting claims clients who were underwater. They had a company come in and do a loan modification for them. Unfortunately for them, they picked the wrong company because they presented all the paperwork like the loan mod was in place. They were taking payments from this woman, but they were never forwarding it.
Oh, boy.
Right.
Those people belong in jail.
Right.
A lot of them went to jail, but a lot of them didn't.
So you got to be careful of who you're dealing with and what you're doing. Yeah, you need respectable people who are in the know.
Right. One of the ways I think you can find respectable people who won't rip you off is find people in your town who shop in the supermarkets and do business in their town. Jared and I have interviewed agents who say, well, why'd you choose our office to come interview with? Well, I don't want to do business anywhere near my house. Where do you live? And it's 40 minutes away. That's a warning signal. That's a warning sign.
Something going on.
Yeah. Why are you so afraid of doing business where, I do business I'm on the sports fields and those are my clients. So if I was doing the wrong thing, I wouldn't be kicked out quick.
The thing, I mean, if that's your town, I grew up in Farmingdale. I'm so happy to be here in Farmingdale. I mean, I know a lot of people. The competition is great in Farmingdale, but I don't mind the competition. The competition makes you better. But you need to be where people recognize you, can trust you, And
that's a lot with the chamber, right? You're a board member of the Chamber of Commerce here in Farmingdale, and that's a lot of what we talk about, right? Is that local credibility, small business, people you can go drive over to their house or their office and say hello. That's a different level of trust you can build versus somebody who's at a 1-800 number.
Who's excited for Daler's Pizza?
I am.
I'm pretty pumped. It's
is that
there.
what that's going to be called?
Yeah, Daler's Pizza.
Right next to the recovery room.
The old Gino's space and Minuteman Press on Main Street will be Daler's Pizza. It's by the owners of Vespa. Ben is building it out. He's doing it. He had some pizzerias that were really successful up in Huntington too.
Didn't he have one in Farmingdale years ago too?
Probably.
Brick oven?
No, it's a regular straight up Long Island pizza place. Nothing different or fancy about
I
it.
figure he's Sicilian. He might as well go brick oven and
He's got
They
the
kind of
brick
do that
oven.
with Vespa, yeah.
He's already got that.
Oh yeah?
Have you ever had their
No.
Vespa's pizzas?
No. I had the Panel though. It was very good.
They do
That pizza's a good.
they do a pepperoni pizza where they drizzle hot honey over it. It's really good.
Really?
Yeah.
I'm going to tell you about, you want to know about pizza at Vespa. So Steph and I, it's one of our favorite places to go, sit at the bar, happy hour time, get some dinner. It's easy to get my mother-in-law to watch the kids between, 5 and 7. Go to Vespa. All this garlic bread's coming out. They kind of give it to the people at the bar if you order something. Oh, man, that smells good. So we get some garlic bread. It's like, that wasn't what I wanted. It was just bread with some garlic. So we got a pizza to share. And I asked, could you add onion and garlic to it? This thing came out. It stunk like a garlic festival. It was amazing. It was so good. So the people next to us, what did you add to your pizza? I'm like, oh, boy, I'm making ever. I said, oh, garlic and onion.
What's the name of the pizza?
It's just a margarita pizza, add garlic and onion.
So St. Joseph Margarita.
Yeah, I guess so. So the two women next to us, excuse me, bartender, can we order a pizza with garlic and onion? Then the people next to them ordered one too, and the whole bar, the place stunk for a week.
You're a trendsetter.
You see that at bars with chicken wings, right? So like you go there for the early 1 o'clock game. There's no wings, no food. One person gets wings. The next thing you know, the whole bar has wings.
But that's all the small, fancy pizzas, brick oven pizzas. The other pizza is going to be chicken parm, eggplant parm, regular pies, and all that kind of stuff. So
what's a regular pie for the people not from New York?
Yeah, it's funny. You call it. Can I get a slice of regular? Can I get 2 regulars?
You mean cheese?
Plain cheese, sir? Yeah. I guess you're just a regular kind
Or square.
Yeah. You get to Ohio, they cut the round pizzas into like Sicilian style. It's bizarre.
Oh, do they?
Really?
Yeah. Yeah, they take the round pie, no crust, cheese to the edge, and then they cut it, into like 32 squares or whatever it works out to.
My college roommate was from like a suburb of Boston, and he came with his 2 sisters to visit, and we go to Phil's Pizza in Massapequa, and it was like a kid in a candy store. So I visited him a bunch of times, and the pizzerias by him, you couldn't even order a cheese slice. You had to order a pie. It was pies only.
Yeah, no slices.
So we walk in, and the whole family was just going nuts, looking at all the options, and I think each of them got like 4 slices each. It was insane.
Like a candy store.
And Phil's Pizza has a lot of specialty pies, but now pretty much every pizzeria does.
I miss the pizzerias where you walked in and your choice was, regular or pepperoni.
Cicidoro.
Yeah, that was what they had, regular or pepperoni, and they did it really well. And if you wanted meatball, they could add a couple crumbles on your slice, but you didn't go there for that.
Anyone that went to Plan Edge knew Cicidoro. And when I was young on the bike, the 2 slices and a drink was $3.25. But before that, it was $3. So we were really annoyed that it was a quarter. So we would stock up.
Especially you're a kid, you don't want 75 cents
that was the whole
in
point.
your pocket.
Yeah, that was the whole point.
It's like now you're charging me 4 because I'm going to lose these 3 quarters.
So the front of the store had this like little flower bed with white rocks in it.
The fake flowers.
And we would grab a bunch of quarters once a week and hide the quarters in there. So we always had that 25 cents.
Nice. Smart.
It's like you're at the beach. You got to dig for your money. I got one. All right, I'll take 2 slices.
Yeah.
We'll split them. But yeah, they did the pizza really well. They used those screens, and they put the corn starch, but that isn't not corn starch, cornmeal on the bottom. And so when they cooked it, that crust, when you folded your slice, it cracked.
I love that.
And you took that first bite, even the first bite, that little wet triangle at the bottom.
It didn't fold. It didn't fall when you pick it up.
You had a bite through it, and you could feel it was like biting into an apple. That pizza, it was great.
That's my favorite slice.
Yeah, when you pick up a regular slice, that front triangle should not fold over.
Right. When it does, I'm disappointed.
Yeah.
That's what drives me nuts with that guy, Barstool Sports, with the pizza. One bite, everybody knows the rules. He always gets this wet, sloppy pizza. He's like, oh, this is the best. No, it's not.
And then he eats
no, it's not.
4 or 5 bites. One bite, everyone knows the rules, and then he has 4 or 5 bites.
Drives me crazy. And he hates Long Island pizza, which,
Does he?
Yeah. He likes that Connecticut pizza.
Barstool. I see that truck on Lambert. There's a black SUV.
Probably works for them.
This is like $1 billion company.
I know, but I know it started years ago, right? But no, every time I go down Lambert to Merritt's Road, there's a SUV. He lives there, I guess.
Not him. What is his name? Portnoy, David Portnoy.
Well, I mean, he don't live there, right? But Barstool, so maybe he does work there, or he's in.
Well, now you could rent. Like I just bought actually some beard oil. Jared, you gave up. You shaved. I'm still going for some reason. I don't know why. So I bought some different beard oil to try to, and it's Barstool Sports approved beard oil.
Well, they approved it.
Big.
They approved it. So I spent twice as much buying theirs probably than
They're
than
expanding,
the other guys.
I guess.
But that's also why those high noon drinks became super popular when Barstool started taking money to market them.
On Saturday, I walked into the gym, CrossFit, Pace Performance in Farmingdale. If anyone wants to go, I'll give a shout out. Lenny, the owner, awesome people. But anyway, so there was this younger girl that walked in on Saturday, a little hungover, and she was ranting and raving how all these bars now are getting away from White Claws and now serving high noons. And she was really pissed off about it because she gets a hangover on high noons and not on
White Claws.
White
you guys
Claws.
are fans?
Interesting.
You're fans of White Claws?
I don't like the White Claws
I'm
or
not
any
a
of those
fan of any seltzers.
spiked seltzers because I think they all have that artificial flavor to me. I love the High Noons because it's
heard of
easy. It's you gotta
never
buy them
heard
at the
of it?
liquor store. It's vodka
You got
soda.
your head in the sand, Albert.
Yeah, you're not kidding. It's a vodka soda with, flavored in a can, and it makes it easy if you're at a party or something, summertime. You want to have a vodka soda. You don't want to sit there making drinks all the time. So I like them, but it drives me nuts that bars sell them. I don't know why anybody would buy a vodka soda in a can for $8 or $9, for more money than just getting a vodka soda at the bar. It's
Probably
bizarre.
the same money, I assume.
No, because those cans are expensive.
Yeah.
They're really expensive.
Is that seltzer as well in there? Or
It's literally a vodka and seltzer in a can.
So
it's the same thing as a White Claw?
pretty much, but it's
White Claws are
it's not real
a malt
vodka.
beverage, which is they could sell them at 7-Eleven and supermarkets.
So we'll give her a shout out to Tap Room because they just opened up at Farmingdale. I didn't check it out yet, but they not only have High Noons, but they have Bud Light Seltzer on tap.
Oh wow,
Which
that's smart.
I never had it, but hard seltzer.
Hard seltzer.
That's what this world is coming to. That's what the young generation wants.
Crazy.
They go out more. They don't want to. They don't want all the beer calories. They're probably smart.
They are smart, I
They
guess.
love
but I
those
can't do
White
it.
Claws. They love those drinks.
Trulies, right?
Yeah.
Isn't Trulies one of them too?
Truly life.
My cousin funneled Trulies before.
Yeah, that's a level of that. We would not have considered him a tough guy back in our day for funneling spiked seltzer. So Al, Chamber of Commerce, you're a Daler. You live in Farmingdale. What other places have you been? I know you love live music. Where you been liking to listen to some live music?
You know what? Recently I went up to Gunther's to go see Dave play.
That's up in Northport, right?
Yeah, it was in Northport. And
Dave Soul was on this podcast. I think he was our first guest.
he was.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then on the way back, for whatever reason, I took a different way. I just wanted to change it up. So it was like 10:30, 11. And I went to Bo's. I like going to Bo's in Greenport because it's a
Greenport?
green. What is it?
Green Lawn.
Green Lawn. I'm sorry.
Okay, that makes more sense because that would have been Greenport is definitely a different way to get home from Northport.
I'd still be driving. So it's basically a Grateful Dead place, but it's always packed.
That's cool.
Yeah. So I realized I was there, so I went there. I've gone to the Warehouse to go see Maria's boyfriend's band play.
I want to
Down
go
in
there.
Amityville.
I've never been there, but it looks cool.
I hate the Warehouse.
Oh,
Sorry, Warehouse, but they charge $8-9 for a can of beer. It's only cans, and it's I don't know.
PBRs.
I guess you could get one that probably cost $7.
Not as good as the Bud Light you were drinking.
Listen, if I'm going to pay that for a can, I'll drink a Stella or a Heineken.
There's a lot of trendy 23-year-olds right now that say, "Oh, I got to check out Warehouse."
Yeah.
I mean, it's a nice place. I don't like it because that's all they do is serve cans, and they're tapped.
That's their stick. They probably do it on purpose.
Well, I'm sure they do, and they're making a hell of a lot of money on it.
Depending on what kind of music they bring through, too. I remember when I was, in my early 20s going out, some of the places only did canned beer because they drew a young crowd and they didn't want the bottles getting broken.
Yeah, fights and shit.
Yeah.
I didn't even think of that.
Yeah.
What was that place? In New Hyde Park. Dublin.
Dublin Deck.
No.
That's out.
Dublin Pub.
Dublin Pub.
It was in New Hyde Park. Only canned beer. And they used to run these specials where it was like quarter beers until somebody used the bathroom. And basically what that meant was you had the two biggest dudes in the bar standing there, and they wouldn't let anybody in the bathrooms until they had to go. And then once they went, that was the special was over.
That's crazy.
Sounds like a
never heard
wives'
that.
tale.
No, it's a real thing. That's a real
He
thing.
experienced it.
Yeah, the place was a real dump. They tore it down. I think they built a McDonald's.
No, I love the fact of what life has brought me and surrounded me with. I mean, you're in the chamber. You're the president of the chamber.
As Dave would say, El Presidente.
Yes, he likes to say that.
El Presidente. You're stuck with it, sticking with it with the lacrosse. You're involved in the lacrosse league, and that's what you got to do. You got to be involved, keep involved, and surround yourself with people who compliment you, and perhaps you can compliment as well.
All these organizations are always dying for more people, right, to help run them. So it's hard not to, once you get involved in something, it's hard not to be super involved in it.
It's true.
Jared, what have you been liking, right, lately?
Me and my wife were trying to figure out date night, and we said, why don't we do something Monday? And I said, Lucas has wrestling practice. How about Tuesday? Oh, the girls have dance. So I think we're going to go out for Sunday football for a couple hours, and I got to figure out where I want to go. So
Wild
wings,
Wing, main event.
That's a cool place.
They have a good place,
Yeah.
and they have multiple bars. You could sit at one of the 3 bars, watch the games.
In front of the old roller rink, there used to be a place. It started out as Jan's when we were kids, but then it turned into another bar. I can't remember what the hell the name of it was.
Where was the roller rink?
So the roller rink was right in Levittown, right?
Miller's Air House.
No.
No.
Actually, it was on the right side. So let's see. I want to say on Hempstead Turnpike, before Wantaw Parkway on the right side.
We'll have to wait till the OTB now.
Yeah, I think
You're
it was
talking about
totally twisted.
the ground round, I think, but that closed a long time ago.
Right.
We like to do, so my buddy Tommy references the Massapequa Shuffle, where you basically just get dropped off on Park Boulevard, and you don't know where you're going to go. You just kind of do laps around all the bars and go hopping.
There's not, well, you got, what do you have over there? You have McGorry's, Tap Room, Good Life.
Prohibition.
I've never been.
I go there too for me.
Gannon's.
Gannon's.
Woody's is still open?
They don't close. I think they're open 24/7.
I've had some long nights there.
You been to Woody's?
Yeah, a long time ago. We used to go to McGorry's, and then if people got tired of being loud and whatever, you go to Woody's.
Good Life is old reliable. Yep. They got food till 2 a.m.
Yeah.
So yeah, you do the Massapequa Shuffle.
They got a tap room over there too, yeah.
Tap room, yeah.
Same as the Farmingdale Shuffle. I never heard it called that.
Thinking that, yeah.
So we should do a mock Farmingdale Shuffle and a mock Massapequa Shuffle.
I'm game.
Where you go, what you drink there, and then do it.
And order some late night food at the end.
We could call it the Weichert Pub Crawls.
So I'm gonna put Farmingdale on blast and say I don't think there's any late night food spots. Oh, Dark Horse.
Dark Horse has food late. Croxley's if Croxley's is open, they have food. Library, if they have food till 2 a.m.
Do they?
1
now
a.m.
the
maybe.
new place, right?
And
Joe's.
now, because there wasn't a lot of food options, the Nutty Irishman, late at night, as he calls them kids, the 21 to 25-year-olds.
They are kids. We were there.
It feels young. It feels young at 40 to go there for sure. Like you were 23, 24, you thought you were like, I'm an adult, man. You're still a kid.
Was it a Thursday night we went there?
Wednesday night.
Wednesday at approximately 12 o'clock, 12 p.m., 12 a.m. It was young.
Yep.
Not under 21 young, but just young.
And for you guys to say that being 40 years
No, it was,
old.
it was Thursday because a lot of people had off the Friday for Christmas weekend. So he has this like little annex to the Nutty Irishman called the Recovery Room, and they have food there now. It's open. It's only open from 10 p.m. till 4 a.m. And then it's open in the mornings. They have actually a really great chef there, Culinary Institute of America graduate Tina, and she does her catering out of there during the day. So they have soup and sandwiches and breakfast sandwiches in the morning. But you could go to Nutty Irishman now at 3:30 in the morning, get a bacon, egg, and cheese or a slice of pizza.
Sounds good.
What time is it? We got to eat.
Well, I was just at the VFW Hall on Main Street for New Year's Eve. I couldn't believe how good their catering was and the room was. So give a little plug to them. If
Who'd they cater from, do you know?
They have their own on-site caterer. Simply Affair. I forget the name of it, but the food was great.
The one across the street from the gas station, the VFW?
Yep. 516 Post on South Main.
I got my ass kicked on that front lawn one year.
That's it. You'll never go back. Well, their eggplant parm is as good as Fairways in Massapequa, so definitely worth doing.
You say it like that was the only place you got your butt kicked. I'm sure it happened more than once.
No, I was able to, after that, I learned from that. I got my
How
ass
old
kicked.
were you?
I got jumped. How old was I? I was riding a bike. 12, 13.
Right, okay.
So I was a wise ass when I was a kid, So,
Getting punched a few times sometimes changes that.
well, you know what? There was 5 of them, so I was getting kicked, punched and kicked. But anyway, I learned after that.
Were those girls big?
There were 3 of them.
Albert, thank you so much for sitting in with us today.
Oh, it's my pleasure. You guys are great. I love you guys.
Jared, I'll see you over at Dale Pizza when they open.
Della Pizza. Hey, 2023, let's get after it.
Let's do it.
Excellent.
Thanks for listening to Those Real Estate Brothers with Joseph and Jared. Subscribe now to get updates on future episodes, and please share it with others. Want to connect? Message us on Google, Facebook, Instagram, or text. We'll see you next time. And remember to always work hard and be nice.